Good morning and happy Monday, September 13th. So today is going to be week 3 of us tackling volume. And we are still going to be using unit cubes to find volume. But our learning objective today is that I can identify the length, width, and height of a rectangular prism and use a formula to find volume. All right, let's check out our agenda. That's right below me. And so our start, you're going to have kind of a warm-up problem to count cubes. I'm going to show you that in just a moment. And then I'm going to actually do a little bit of a mini lesson on volume that I want you to review. There might be some stopping points in between that I want you to interact and answer some questions. Then I'm going to throw out a problem for you. So you do need your workbook, so make sure you go grab that and a pencil. And next, you will practice what we've learned today. So hopefully from the mini lesson and you trying that problem, and then reflecting against what I've done, then you're going to practice it. And then last, I want you to do a quick reflection about volume. All right, let's get started. All right, here is your start problem of today. Remember, thinking about volume is behind me as well. So, which rectangular prism below has more unit cubes? Figure A or figure B? Think about the two different strategies that you could figure out of which one has more unit cubes. It's also be thinking about if whichever one has more unit cubes, that's the one that actually has more volume. All right, do your start problem. Tell me if figure A or figure B has greater volume or more unit cubes. All right. Let's go ahead and review. So a short little mini lesson about volume. All right, so you can see the chart behind me, or you can check out this slide right here. Volume is the amount of space of a solid figure. Yep, that's like a 3D shape. So like I think in mini and small group, I've been talking about this, or I had my cereal box. Some of you might have saw my Amazon box. These are all 3D figures or solid figures because they have 3 different dimensions. The one is length. So how long something is. Then they have width. You can see here they've shaded it in orange, and that's how wide it is. So those are 2. And your third dimension that you need for volume is height. So how tall something is. All right, so remember this. So I need my length, I need width, and I need height. This is a fantastic Anchor chart that totally shows you what length, width, and height is represented when you are using these cubes. Okay, so sometimes they're going to give you an example that looks like this with unit cubes that you can count. Okay, sometimes they're not. They're just going to show you a rectangular prism that you don't see the unit cubes actually in it. They're just going to give you a measurement for each of the dimensions. Okay, so volume is length, width, and height. All right, so let's go over that. Length, width, and height. All right, so let's do this together. So now, actually using a formula is what we can do. And that's what on this Anchor chart a couple weeks ago in small group we talked about. So this one doesn't have the little unit cubes here. We have to take the time to actually plug them and use a formula. Okay, so looking at this rectangular prism, I'm going to use the length, the width, and the height to find the volume of this rectangular prism. What is the length? What is the width? What is the height of this rectangular prism? Hopefully you plugged in 24 for the length because that's how long this is right here. The width is 10. Hopefully you found that right here is your 10. And last, how tall this rectangular prism is 12. Hopefully you found this 12. All right, so now that we have the 3 dimensions, now we're going to plug them into our formula that's located down at the bottom of this slide. So I'm going to multiply length times width times height. Length times width times height. Now I'm going to do the multiplication for you. I'm not going to ask you this because these are really big numbers. The volume of this rectangular prism would be 2,880 cubic feet. Now it's feet because if you look at our rectangular prism, our units are feet and it's cubic. For your try it problem today, I want you to get out your workbooks and turn to page 33. So this is a really good idea to actually solve your problem in your workbook because I'm going to ask you to explain how you solved it and what was your solution. So let's read this problem and to help you make sense of it. Becky uses 1-inch cubes to create a model for a small paper gift bag she is making. Her model is a rectangular prism. What is the volume of Becky's model? Okay, so making sense of it, we have what is this problem about? Well, it's about Becky, and she's making a model of a gift bag. What's important information? Well, volume, and that's a rectangular prism. Because I have to think in my head, well, a rectangular prism has 3 dimensions, length, width, and height. And when I measure volume, it's the measurement inside of a solid figure, and I need the dimensions of length, width, and height. I see this representation, this picture representation of the rectangular prism. It is cubes. So one strategy could be counting these unit cubes, but remember there's 2 layers. The other is that I can think back to the mini lesson that Ms. McLemore just shared with me, is I can count length, the width, and the height. All right. I want you to take your time, solve this problem inside your workbook on page 33. Find the length, find the width, and find the height, and then find the volume of this rectangular prism. Okay, I actually have solved this problem inside my workbook at home, took a picture of it, and I've added it to this slide. What I want you to do is, because we actually can't turn and talk to our partners like we would do in class, I want you to look at, and this is exactly what you would be doing in my room, I want you to look at my work and compare it to your work in your workbook. Do you agree or disagree with my answer? Okay, so look at my work, make sense of it. Think to myself, I agree with Ms. McLemore or I disagree with Ms. McLemore. Then you need to explain why. All right, so I agree with Ms. McLemore because, or I disagree with Ms. McLemore because. And explain your reason why you do or you don't agree with how I solved this problem and if this is actually the volume of Becky's model. All right, now it's time to practice what we've learned today. So I want you to take everything that we've learned. Maybe this was just a review for you today, which is totally awesome. But I want you to try to use this to solve these 4 problems, to kind of show me what you've learned and maybe where we need to go for tomorrow and to help you understand volume and measuring volume. All right, problem 1, measuring volume. Count the centimeter cubes to find the volume. So what's nice about this is they've given you a picture representation with unit cubes, but they've also shown you it in color, so it kind of gives you little clues. All right, I want you to plug in the length, I want you to plug in the width and the height, and then I want you to write an equation that can be used to calculate the volume and then give the volume of this figure. Problem 2, we're still sticking with measuring volume. We are now counting the 1-inch cubes to find the volume. So same thing, we are given a picture representation using unit cubes, but we're also given a little clue of what is the length, the width, and the height with those awesome color arrows. Sorry. So what are the dimensions of the rectangular prism? Find the length, find the width, and find the height. What equation would you use to calculate the volume? What is the volume of this rectangular prism? Number 3, measuring the volume. Here, I would like you to write an equation to calculate the volume. Now, we're not given the unit cubes. We are still given the measurements of each of the dimensions. So write an equation to find the volume. What is the volume of the rectangular prism? Question 4, measuring volume. Oh no, it's not cubes anymore, just like our last problem, but that's okay. We are given the measurements. I want you to tell me what the volume of this rectangular prism is. Next question. Here's another rectangular prism. What is the volume of this prism?